Welcome back to the Money Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Moses the Mentor. And on this episode, I'm super excited to bring on Brian Grimes, who's an Ivy League educated real estate entrepreneur and coach. Brian has transformed the real estate landscape with his innovative strategies and has gut renovated over 300 rental properties across the country. He also founded 24/7 Cash Flow University to teach others how to create passive income and escape their 9-to-5 desk jobs. Whew, we need that. So let's dive into this journey and his insights. Let's go. All right. Thank you for joining the Money Focus Podcast. Really appreciate you, Brian. It's a pleasure to have you on. The first thing I always ask my guests to do to just open us up with their career journey, professional journey, and in your case, how you started in real estate. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like a Philly basketball guy at heart, right? I grew up during that Allen Iverson era in Philly. Got really good at basketball, grew to be about 6'5" by maybe like 13, 14, got nationally ranked and recruited. And basketball kind of took me all over the country, landed me at Columbia University. So I met some amazing people there, amazing mentors. And some were doing things in real estate, some were trading, but they were all making more money with their mind than they were with their body. So it kind of changed my perspective on life in terms of what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get into finance. And I had a buddy of mine who was into real estate, my best friend. So we just started talking about real estate, and he graduated before me, started buying rental properties, Section 8, single family, single jingles. And I knew like, I want to do that. There was one time we were at a college bar. He came to visit me at Columbia, and he just pulls out a stack, like 2,500 cash. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm a broke college kid, right? And he's just like, this the rent money, man. It's first of the month. So I knew from there, I need to get my hands on some of that rent money. If my buddy's doing it and it's working, I'm seeing the proof of concept, then it's just a matter of time until I get in. So I graduated, became a financial planner, worked 100% commission, made maybe $6K in the first 6 months of work, and just like grinding, trying to not starve out. But I ended up being successful at sales, saving all my commissions, living at home. And I used that money to buy my first property, FHA house hack, 3 family, live in one unit, rent the others. And then I just kept going, just kept buying turnkey, and then eventually got bit by that full gut renovation bug and just never looked back.
So what were some, key challenges that you faced when, you first started in real estate, especially where you're at in Philadelphia? Can you kind of walk us through some of the initial phases of that?
Yeah, well, just like everybody else on my first deal, once I stopped going turnkey, my first deal, I got ripped for 40, 50 grand by a GC. So I got burned. And there are lots of people with that story. I'll do, talk to different people, and they're like, Brian, I lost $250,000 on my first deal. So it can really add up for people. But there's a lot. There's a big learning curve. There's something called the ignorance tax that we all have to deal with as new investors. If you don't learn through like mentorship or tapping into somebody who's already done this, which I couldn't do because when I was getting started, the social media wasn't built out like this. There wasn't a way to really tap directly into people and DM them and try to get in front of them. So I just learned from the school of hard knocks and paid that ignorance tax. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars until you figure out the game. So I just went through, the normal pain of trying to figure this game out.
The way you actually invest, you invest in C-class areas, right? Some areas that might be deemed risky to the average investor, right? So talk to us about why you selected those areas. What were the pros that led you down that way? And then maybe can you shed some light on the risks associated with it for someone who's potentially looking to invest? Is it as bad as people say? Is there some misconceptions? So if you could shed light on that, that would be great.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconception about the C-class. People think you kind of go from A-class neighborhoods to B and then to C in like a straight line because the human brain is wired to think linearly. But the reality is, where do you see gentrification? You see it happening in the C-class neighborhoods. It's really A-class, and then right on the outskirts of that is the C-class. So investing in the C-class is where all the developers are. The people who are looking to make money and build wealth, they're all in the C-class. They're looking for the next frontier market that's going to gentrify or turn around within the next 5 years or so. And that's where you get that appreciation pop. So I would say if you want to make money, you have to go to the C class to make money. The cap rates and the spreads are all compressed in the A and some of the B class markets. So the value play is in the C class. Now, the risks is you need to understand how to navigate it. It's not as bad as advertised on TV. Like, it's not like you're going to step out of the Uber in the C class and get shot. Like it ain't going to happen. It's pretty chill. And when I do the real estate ride along tours that I do and take out of town investors through like C class pockets of Philly, they start to look at it and they're like, man, are we in the C class? And I'm like, yeah, this is what they call the hood. And they're like, it feels great out here. It feels real calm out here. So knowing how to navigate it, find the good blocks. This is what I'll tell people. In every bad neighborhood, there's a good section. In every good neighborhood, there's a bad section. So your job is to navigate your way into the good section of even the C-class areas. Where is it going to gentrify more? Where is it going to appreciate faster? Where are you going to get more value? Where do the people want to live? The other benefit I'll talk about on C-class is you can start with a blank canvas with C-class investing because you can buy so low to the ground. That's where you can put in $100,000, $150,000 renovation and still turn a profit. So in many ways, it gives you the ability to create value. Whereas in an A class or B class, you're kind of more limited there. So to me, C class is where it's at.
That makes a lot of sense. This next question is really pretty loaded for me because I exclusively rent to Section 8. I love Section 8. I started out, doing cash customers and I did a blend. And now I'm like, hey, why would I go against this? Right. So what is your stance on Section 8? There might be people out there that say, hey, these folks mess up your house. These folks, it's not really profitable, all this type of stuff. Right. So I would love to hear your stance on it. I think people who watch my show know I'm a huge fan of Section 8. But how does it work for you?
I think Section 8 is great once you understand it and learn how to navigate it, right? Like there are inspections that you're dealing with. You have Section 8 inspectors and you don't know how to necessarily deal with them or navigate that process. You also have just a slower turnaround time because you're dealing with government tenants. There's a process to Section 8. It may take 30 to 60 days to get that tenant in versus a market rental where somebody shows up to your property and says, hey, I got cash, give me the keys. And you can just execute right there. So there are some slowdowns with Section 8. On the positive side, there's guaranteed rental income from the government, which is huge. Like being able to get that money on the first of the month, every month, and not have to chase people down is, it's remarkable, especially as a out-of-state investor. If you're already investing out of town, it de-risks the process. In most cases, people don't know this, but Section 8 is usually paying 70 to 100% of the rent. So if you get a tenant who has less capital or less earning ability, the government is usually stepping in, paying 100% of their rent. So that just takes all of the risk out of it. Also, if somebody gets evicted and they're in the Section 8 program, they typically get kicked off of Section 8. And that gives you another layer of protection. This is not the Section 8 of the 1980s, 1990s, where people just run in and trash your house. And a market tenant could trash your house too. Being on Section 8 is not an indicator that somebody's going to, destroy your home. But it's a different program now. The waiting lists are in like the thousands and thousands of people. And the people who are on, they're serious and they're not trying to get kicked out. So I think it gives you layers of protection, guaranteed rental income. They'll also pay a premium over market rent in certain areas. So you can do some arbitrage there. I just think it's a phenomenal program to tap into and really master.
Folks who really knock Section 8, they're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And they're listening to other people. If you just are doing Section 8 investing and you just want to, throw a cheap house up and be a slumlord, how do you expect to get a good tenant?
Yeah.
That's just really, you can't throw garbage out there and expect to get something other than garbage back.
Absolutely.
So it's really about how you do it. And that really makes a difference. It's so difficult for them to find quality housing.
Exactly.
So the moment you get them in there, they're like, whoa, this guy's different.
Yeah.
He really cares about the property. He cares about his tenants. They're going to treat the property like gold. That's been my experience.
Definitely.
Co-living rentals. I'm not familiar with that concept. So can you kind of break down what a co-living rental is and how it actually contributes to an influx in cash flow for you?
Yeah. So co-living rental, the concept there, it was actually born out of investing in Section 8. So when I started investing in Section 8, I started seeing other developers who were doing it, and they were doing what we call the kitchen flip. So they would take, if you take your typical row home, and I'm mostly investing in row home cities, you open the door, it's living room, dining room, kitchen. If you flip that kitchen into the dining room, you could put another bed in the back. So this location allows you to get more capital. If you can get a fourth bed in a 3-bed, now you can get that 4-bed rent or 4-bed voucher, get more cash flow. So as I was doing that, we started thinking more outside of the box and saying, well, what if I just blew up this whole house and full gutted it into 3 master suites? The only way to get to the bathroom is through the bedroom. And then you rent out each suite as its own individual subunit, which you could do legally in ordinance with the city code, at least in Philly. Every city will have some code that says no more than X amount of people can live in a single family unit that are not related by blood. That number could be 2, 3. In Baltimore, it's 4. In parts of Florida, it could be like 6 to 8. In Texas, it's almost unlimited. So when you do that, you could take a 3-bed, 1-bath, turn it into a 3-bed, 3-bath. The 3-bed, 1-bath might rent for $1,400 a month. The 3-bed, 3-bath, each subunit will rent for $800 a month. So now I'm getting $2,400 out of a property that everybody else is getting $1,400 out of. So it increased my total gross cash coming in by $1,000 a month. So even if there's more expense, more, water utilization, there's still a pretty big profit spread there. So co-living has been interesting. There are management considerations. Like I do a lot of management internally. So there are some considerations there about, well, how do I pick the right people and how do I manage this correctly? And I mean, at the end of the day, it's no more difficult than managing a triplex, but there is some specialization. And that's why I would say the best way to do that is to start small or work with somebody like me who's already done it and can teach you the tips and tricks of how to take advantage of the opportunity.
For the people that's listening and watching right now, I might say, yeah, Brian and Moses, that all sounds good, but my credit is bad. I don't have any money. I'm a far ways off from, getting into this real estate game. What creative financing can someone who have those challenges actually pursue that you teach?
Yeah, so there are 6 tenets of creative financing. One would be that people talk about a lot. It's like subject to, where you would go and have somebody deed you over their property. They're distressed. They're in pre-foreclosure. And the debt stays in their name. They deed you over the property and you can control the asset and then reposition it as like a rent-to-own product. There's also lease purchase options, sandwich lease options. There's a lot of different strategies. There's pure wholesaling, just getting a deal under contract, marking it up and flipping it to another developer. That is all about learning how deals work. So it's all knowledge based. There's 2 things in real estate: money and knowledge. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. So if you're starting off with very little capital or bad credit, you need a ton of knowledge. You really should focus on educating yourself on how to invest without cash or credit. And I know it sounds kind of like cliche, like, oh, everybody says that, but can it really be done? That's the reason you have that feeling is because you're that new, that you don't have the baseline level of education to truly understand how deals work and that this is real. And I had that same feeling when I was getting started. I was learning about it at a Robert Kiyosaki conference. They were selling it for a course for $30K on how to do lease purchase options and sandwich lease options. And it went so far over my head. I was like, this stuff ain't real. This can't work. And then I revisited it maybe 6 years later into my journey. And I was just like, whoa, this may be the most powerful knowledge in real estate. And most people don't know about it, but super powerful. You can absolutely invest without cash or credit. You just need to learn the core strategies. We definitely teach them within our mentorship program, but learning those core strategies and then going out and just talking to motivated sellers, people who are in distress, want to get rid of the property. Maybe they inherited it. They don't know what to do with it. if you just keep talking to people, you will find deals and you will uncover gems.
Yeah, so it sounds like, if you don't have money or great credit, that's still not an excuse.
It's not.
So
Yeah,
there's options out there. You can be of service within this game in real estate and just still make a lot of money with nothing but just hard work at the onset. Eventually, you'll have the money to do bigger and better things, but to get started, you don't necessarily need that.
exactly.
So that's cool. For you as an experienced investor and folks that you work with, are you, paying attention to the Fed and the interest rates going up and down? How does that, impact the way you invest?
I mean, it definitely has an impact in terms of what properties cash flow, what types of opportunities are out there, because as rates go up, cash flows can compress. But one thing that was unanticipated effect of rates rising, but I kind of foresaw, is that rents are going to go up, because rents are a derivative of the mortgage rate. So as rates go up, your mortgage payment goes up, which means the rent that you would pay relative to being an owner is also going to increase at some type of a rate. So I saw rents go up 30 to 60% in Philly, and that unlocked a ton of cash flow, right? So now we're looking at a market where rates are going to start going back down. As rates go down, prices are going to increase a bit. So there's going to be a window of opportunity for investors who have acumen, who have some experience or knowledge or tapped into mentorship, and can, I think this window is going to last for a couple years, where there's going to be a wave of opportunity for people to come in the game and grab maybe 10 to 20 houses within a 2-year period with the right knowledge and the right BRRRR strategy system. But rates going up and down, they can impact things, but they don't kill the buy and hold cash flow market, especially if you're in like the top 10 cash flow cities like Philly, Baltimore, Cleveland, some parts of Delaware, definitely like Detroit, some of the top 10 cash flow cities in America. They're really good right now.
I was watching something the other day about people that are looking to buy a home to live in, like retail buyers. They're waiting for interest rates to drop. And they were saying how, on the surface, that might sound good and all, but then prices are going to go back crazy, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's really going to create a whirlwind of challenges until we get enough supply on the market. That's really the biggest issue. So for you and I as investors, we're like, shoot, we'll let the prices go up, shoot, that's more than our net worth. But I think, man, for anybody who's waiting on the sidelines right now to buy, I wouldn't do it.
It's a mistake.
I would go ahead and buy me something now that I can afford, that has the bones. Even my house right now, I got a beautiful house. When I bought it, it didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? We had to put some work into it, some cosmetic stuff, new roof and stuff over time, because you can't pick up the house and move it where you want it. So buy a home that you need to put some work in and just deal with that rate for now, because these homes are going to skyrocket again.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again because there's not enough inventory out there. It's just it.
I agree.
Appreciate that. What are your thoughts about like out of state investing? I'm originally from New York, which is a hard place to invest even without the high price point. And now I live in Atlanta, which now has turned into mini New York in itself. The prices are so crazy. So I elected to invest in my wife's hometown of Cleveland. And a lot of times people say, man, how often you go up there? Do you see the place before you buy? All this other stuff, right? A lot of different things where people feel like they have to be physically at the location to invest. My thoughts on that is simply, you have to go and invest where you can meet your financial goals. So I'm just curious to know, like, how do you approach out-of-state investing, or even out-of-country investing, if that's an option for you? What's your thoughts on it?
I think out of state just makes sense. It's one of the main advantages to being born like and alive today with today's technology, right? You could have been born 50 years prior and had no access to the technology that we have today, and you wouldn't have the ability to invest out of town. No cameras, no people you can connect with through social media to get you tapped in and build different relationships. So you'd be a fool not to take advantage of out of state investing right now, today. But it comes with, that distance. You need people that you can trust. You need boots on the ground in the area that you're looking to invest in. So that might be, 6 degrees of separation, friends, family, somebody sitting on the couch, but they had a smartphone and you can send them to look at properties for you. Or there could be, different turnkey opportunities. I know there are turnkey opportunities out there. I have one with the boots on the ground program where, me and my team, we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for people that are all over the country, and some people even outside of the country. Like I have one guy tapped in from New Zealand. We got a bunch of Canadian investors as well, because if you're in an overpriced market, you really can't find cash flow. If you want cash flow today, you have to go to the top 10 cash flow cities in the country. You have to, if you want to get locked in on that cash flow. There are other markets you can flip in, but flipping can just be another hustle at the end of the day, because you have to keep eating what you kill. It's better to do what you talk about, which is just buying and holding, cash flowing, and doing that in the cheaper top 10 cash flow cities. It's just a way to go. But it's all about finding the right fit. So if you're lucky enough to find the right fit or somebody who will do it for you, and they've done it before and can do it safely, then that's a major advantage to get tapped into, a top city like Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore. That can allow you to do more with less and just build more wealth for your family. So I think it's a no-brainer.
What inspired you to be a general contractor? And, talk to us about that. But I'm interested to hear of the many benefits that it brings to your real estate business, because, that's not my expertise. I go in and they say, hey, we need to fix this, fix that. I'm like, all right, cool. So I love the fact that you can know the real estate business and also the construction part of it. But talk to us about what inspired you to do it and some of the pros and cons potentially.
Well, I think, what inspired me to do it was getting burned for 40 to 50 grand by a GC. So after losing lots of money, trying to have a GC do it for me and not having enough knowledge, I knew, hey, I got to learn this thing if I'm going to be successful at it long term. So that was kind of like the spark that got me into it. I would say the main benefit is just understanding how to make money on the purchase. If you've ever heard that saying, you make money on the purchase, you make money on the buy. What that means is you can see the cost of construction in that project so well that you know what price point you need to negotiate down to be profitable, to almost guarantee that you'll be within a range, within the realm of profitability. So it gives you X-ray vision. You can see through walls. You can see the costs. The con is if you watch too much Property Brothers, you think you're going to pick up the hammer and actually do the work yourself. And that's not the goal. The goal is to know the cost, to know what materials are needed, and to know the system and the process, how long it takes to build the house and all the variables. Doing it yourself is not scalable. How many houses can you physically stand in and build? Very little. And if I factor in the time value of your money, it's not a savings. It's much cheaper and more scalable to know the cost and then hire the people, manage the subs, and get the work done. So I think just having that knowledge gives you power, and it keeps you from getting burned and from losing money by overpaying for properties. So it gives you so many benefits. But yeah, getting burned for 40, 50K will wake you up and, make you think, man, I better learn this thing or I'm going to be out of this business real quick.
For people that can't tap into you to be a GC, what tips can you give to an investor to kind of vet a good GC? I'm kind of lucky. I've been using the same guy. He's been treating me okay. I've heard people say they went through 3, 4, 5, 10. So what are some best practices I should look for in a GC?
I have like a section of my course that focuses on contractor interview questions. It's just like any other business. If you were trying to hire a computer programmer, one, you need to know what they do. And then you need a list of questions to test competence. So ask them these questions, and depending on the answers, it's going to let you know how skilled they are or what experience they have. So I'll ask a contractor, okay, so how long what do you think it'll take to drywall this property? And I know how long it takes. And that's the thing, knowing. So then when I ask, and if they say it's going to take 3 weeks, and I'm like, 3 weeks. Why not, 7 days, 7 to 10 days? How many guys are you going to use? How can you speed this up? You start testing their knowledge. Also ask them, do you have tools and transportation? Guess what? Professionals have tools. There are a lot of contractors running around saying they're professional. They have no tools. They're not a professional. It's really that simple. So knowing what to look out for and then what questions to ask are going to scare off the bad people, and the good people will be the ones kind of still there saying, no, this looks good. I got everything. I'm ready to roll. So just knowing what questions to ask and how to probe. And then once you find good people, growing organically through them, getting referrals, because contractors know contractors. So getting referred to the next relationship is the best way to grow organically.
Talk to us about your 24/7 cash flow university, your education platform, how you get people up out of their 9 to 5s if they want to. So,
Yeah.
So, give us a breakdown of the services that you offer and why, everybody need to jump on.
Yeah. There are really 3 sectors to the 24/7 Cash Flow University. One is, we do have a mentorship program, which is course content. You can tap into that. And then we do inner circle calls once a week, like Wednesday night at 9. And there are people all over the country, even outside of the country, doing amazing deals that you'll learn from them, from me, get to network. We got private money lenders, people who are tapped in but want to lend. They got $500,000 and they want to fund other people's deals. So that's an amazing thing to tap into. And that's going to teach you exactly step by step how I went from 0 to over, 300 rental properties, like how I scaled up step by step and how I built that many properties in about 5 to 7 years. Because I full gut renovated like 295 of that 300, right? So it gives you a ton of game. Then we have sometimes what I found was people still have fear of construction. Even after learning it, they have that fear in their chest. So we started doing the real estate ride along tours. So you fly out from Philly. People are flying out from Hawaii, LA, Texas, like everywhere, Canada. And you'll spend a day with me, small group, 15, 20 people. We'll tour about 10, 15 properties all throughout the city and show you how we put them back together. We give you the rehab budgets. We show you hot spots of the city, like how to navigate out of state investing. How does that work? So you get to see my entire operation. That's pretty cool. And then for some people, they're just like, Brian, I want to learn, but can you just do it all for me and just go out, find me the house and build it? That's when we have the boots on the ground program where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage the properties for our clients. And we'll manage them at 5%. So we'll even property manage, below 10% is kind of like market rate. And that's been pretty phenomenal. I'd say like that's kind of the program everybody wants to get into, but it's very exclusive. I can't build houses for everyone. So there's extremely limited capacity. So when the doors open, people jump in. And then when they close, because capacity is so limited, they kind of have to wait and get on the waiting list. But that's phenomenal because now you could be in California and I can just find a deal for you, connect you with the 100% lenders that'll give you the money to purchase and rehab. So they'll give you 100% of the capital. You just pay the closing costs. And then we will build the property in-house. We'll Section 8 it, room rent it, market rent it, co-living, whatever strategy you want to go with, or you can flip as well. And then we can manage if you want to hold it long term. So that makes it turnkey, mailbox money. And I found that a lot of people are busy with kids, life, work, and they're just like boots on the ground program is the way to go.
That sounds great, man. So what final thoughts or final pieces of advice would you like to leave with the audience? Also, before we go, just, drop your contact information, website, social media, best way to stay in contact with you. So just appreciate you so much. The floor is yours.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I would say the advice I have is to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is real estate, financial freedom, spending more time with your family. Don't make money your God. Do real estate to get financial freedom so you can spend time with the people you love and pour into the next generation. But don't get obsessed with the money. The money will come. The cash flow will come and it will get there. So just stick with it, but keep it primary. God, family, real estate in that order, and you'll be very successful. If you want to get a hold of me, my team, reach out to me, talk about the Boots on the Ground program or the ride along and come spend a day with me or tap into our inner circle. You can reach me on Instagram, Brian Grimes _247 CFU for the 24/7 Cash Flow University. We're on YouTube. Brian Loves Cash Flow. It's easy to remember because I love cash flow. So Brian Loves Cash Flow on YouTube. You can Google Brian Grimes real estate and you'll find all of my podcast interviews and different things of that nature. They all backlink to a free training on www.workwithgrimes.com/cash flow. Workwithgrimes.com/cash flow. It's a free training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country, even if you're starting off with no cash or credit. So you don't want to miss out on that free offer.
Appreciate you, Brian, man. Good luck to you. And thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.